स्वराटपौत्रं विनयीनमात्मनः
स्वराटपौत्रं विनयेन आत्मनः सुसमं गुणैः. पाचवी वासु चतुर्थी.
तोयनिव्याहपतिं भूमेरभ्य शिञ्चत् अजगाव्यये
तोयनिव्यापतिं भूमेऽभ्यषीत चत गजवावहे.
स्वराटपौत्रं विनयीनम् आत्मनः सुसमं गुणैः
स्वराटपौत्रं
तोयनिव्याहपतिं
विनीन आत्मना सुसमं गुणैः.
तोयनिव्याहपतिं भूमेरभ्यषिञ्चत् अजग्वहे
तोयनिव्यापतिं भूमेऽभ्यसिञ्चत् गज आवै.
Saki Shiromani Mataji, please continue.
युधिष्ठिरः तत्परिसर्पणं बुधः पूरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे तत् आत्मनि विभाव्य लोभ अनृतजीवम् अहिंसनाम् अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यदात् स्वराटपौत्रं विनीयनम् आत्मनः सुसमं गुणैः तोयनिव्यापतिं भूमेः अभिषिञ्चत् गज अव्वये. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please read, Mataji.
Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was intelligent enough to understand the influence of the age of Kali, characterized by increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating, and violence throughout the capital state, home, and among individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to leave home and he dressed accordingly. Thereafter, in the capital of Hastināpura, he enthroned his grandson, who was trained and equally qualified as the emperor and master of all land bordered by the seas. Purport by Swami Srila Prabhupada. The present age is influenced by specific qualities of Kali. Since the days of Battle of Kurukṣetra about 5,000 years ago, the influence of age of Kali began manifesting, and from authentic scriptures it is learned that the age of Kali is still to run on for 4,27,000 years. The symptoms of the Kali-yuga, as mentioned above, namely avarice, falsehood, diplomacy, cheating, nepotism, violence, and all such things, are already in vogue, and no one can imagine what is going to happen gradually with the further increase of the influence of Kali till the day of annihilation. We have already come to know that the influence of the age of Kali is meant for godless, so-called civilized man. Those who are under the protection of Lord have nothing to fear from the horrible age. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was a great devotee of the Lord, and there was no necessity of his being afraid of the age of Kali, but he preferred to retire from the active household life and prepare himself to go back home, back to Godhead. The Pandavas are eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore they are more interested in the company of the Lord than anything else. Besides that, being an ideal king, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira wanted to retire just to set an example for others. As soon as there is some young fellow to look after the household affairs, one should at once retire from family life to uplift oneself to spiritual realization. One should not rot in the dark well of household life till one is dragged out by the will of Yamraj. Modern politicians should take lessons from Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira about voluntary retirement from active life and should make room for younger generation. Also, retired old gentlemen should take lessons from him and leave home for spiritual realization before forcefully dragged away to meet death. The total land on the earth bordered by the seas was under subjugation of King of Hastināpura. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira trained his grandson Mahārāja Parikshit, who was equally qualified in state administration in terms of the king's obligation to the citizens. Thus, Parikshit was enthroned on the seat of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira prior to his departure back to Godhead. Concerning Maharaj Parikshit, the specific word used, Vinayinam, is significant. Why was the king of Hastināpura, at least till the time of Maharaj Parikshit, accepted as the emperor of the world? The only reason is that people of the world were happy because of the good administration of the emperor. The happiness of the citizens was due to ample production of natural produce such as grains, fruits, milk, herbs, valuable stones, minerals, and everything that the people needed. They were even free from all bodily miseries, anxieties of mind, and disturbances caused by natural phenomenon and other living beings. Because everyone was happy in all respects, there was no resentment, although there were sometimes battles between the state kings for political reasons and supremacy. Everyone was trained to attain the highest goal of life, and therefore the people were also enlightened enough not to quarrel over trivialities. The influence of the age of Kali gradually infiltrated the good qualities of both the kings and the citizens, and therefore a tense situation developed between the ruler and the ruled. But still, even in this age of disparity between the ruler and the ruled, there can be spiritual emolument and God consciousness. That is a special prerogative. Hare Krishna.
ओम
Mataji
ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य
can.
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादा सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिने ते नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण। प्लीज conclusion माताजी।
Uh, According to this text, after the departure of Lord Krishna, it is with various signals that Yudhishthir Maharaj is getting. He had realized that, it is the time for them as well to depart or to leave their attachment towards the kingdom. Anyways, they didn't ever have any attachment. All the Pandavas, for Pandavas, ruling was a duty than attachment. In the previous verses, maybe chapter, we might have heard that how, uh, uh, or maybe later, I'm not very sure about it, but how uh, Parikshit Maharaj was enthroned on the as the ruler before the Pandavas could retire. And even during the, even much prior before that, that how the birth ceremony of Parikshit Maharaj was conducted, and how that was conducted by uh, acharyas like Kripacharya. We have seen previously that it was Kripacharya and Ashwatthama who were few of the individuals who were still surviving after the Battle of Kurukṣetra from uh, the Kauravas party. And isn't it disheartening to understand that from a party which has mercilessly killed the descendants of the Kauravas and the Pandavas, in spite of knowing that these individuals were party to their children being killed, Pandavas had, never maintained any grudge or any kind of ill feelings towards Kripacharya. And they happily invited, he was again invited as their Acharya of their Kaurav, or the of Acharya of the Pandavas, as the head, what we would say, priest, or the Acharya of the entire kingdom. So, and definitely this is, it is not going to be one way, it is going to be both way, where even Kripacharya would have never, uh, if given a choice, would have never thought of going against the Pandavas. Yeah, but it was circumstances because of which he had to be a party with the Kauravas, and had to fight against them. So here we can see that the this is, the kind of individuals like these Pandavas are. They are not attached to any throne. Like we, in the previous sessions which I had heard on these shlokas of Bhagavatam, it was so beautifully described that Pandavas, we can just put ourselves in the place of Pandavas and try to imagine that our children are no more, you know, and in spite of that, we are fighting for the kingdom. Are Is the kingdom much precious compared to the family members? Definitely not, you know, definitely not. But though they had lost their dear most individuals in their family, their own kids, but all of them, hmm, no exception, all of them still continued to serve the kingdom. And that was their duty, and that was their commitment. That was great. They were not attached to the kingdom at all, they were attached to the service. And so at this point of time, when they have realized that now Lord is no more, it it is it is they are not attached to the kingdom, and they want the company of the Lord, or they want to serve the Lord. So if it is not required in this place where they are actually ruling over the kingdom, so they would better go to some place where they can actually very closely serve the Lord. Now what is the harm in serving in this place? In the sense, they have already ruled over the kingdom for a couple of years. Yeah, and now they have seen that the next generation, that is Parikshit Maharaj, is now of the appropriate age where he can handle the responsibility. And that is why Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that if really we want to be happy, it's better to hand over the responsibilities at the right opportune time and leave home. And so Srila Prabhupada is speaking about the politicians, he's also speaking about retired people. So, in the sense that at this, definitely in this age, in this era, it is difficult to leave home. But what we can understand from the aspect of leaving home is completely detaching. So there is going to be that moment in our life where we have to detach ourselves from the household affairs. Let whatever, whichever way things have to run, let them run. We should focus at a particular time in our life. There has to be no other focus than our spiritual development. That's all. Yeah, and how we can also contribute to the spiritual development of others in the family or in the society. So that should be our aim compared to the specific attachment to family members. Yeah, or the things that we own or that we consider that we own. Yeah, So this is how gradually we need to develop detachment. It was very easy for the Pandavas because they were never attached to any of the kingdoms or any of the aspects, wealth, etc. in their life. For them, everything was a matter of duty in order to please the Lord. And the same thing Srila Prabhupada is so beautifully explaining. And this aspect would have been absolutely a great dark area had Srila Prabhupada not put it in the pages of Bhagavatam. This is a wonderful thing. At least we realize that there is going to be a point in our life where we have to say no, enough is enough. Now we have done a lot. Whatever we had to do, whichever way we had to serve the society, whichever kind of things we had to possess, that's enough. Now my entire life is for the service of the Lord. That's all. And spiritual development is the only goal of my life. No running after money, no running after properties, etc. And let the younger generation handle it the way they want. Yeah, we can definitely guide, but we need not interrupt or interfere. So that is why uh, there are so many individuals who help retirement planning, this, that, and multiple things. But the most important aspect of retirement planning will be how to plan our spiritual growth, our spiritual account, how to increase that. That is the most important thing. So this is my little understanding from what in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned. If Prabhuji can explain the details of the purport of 1.15.38. Hare Krishna.
Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Please forgive me. I'm outside, so maybe my voice may not be audible. Please do let me know if I'm not audible at any point of a time. So here we are going through this verse wherein few facts become very important. Like the very first thing which comes is he is Buddha. So it is said Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, he was Buddha, which is means thoroughly experienced as well as intelligent. Now, when Prabhupada ji is doing the translation for Buddha, he is mentioning it very clearly as intelligent, and while doing the word to word translation, he's talking about it as thoroughly experienced. So when in the parampara, the seniors have been taking lecture on this, they are harping on this point how Yudhishthir Maharaj is both experienced and intelligent. Intelligent definitely because he is the completely surrendered devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. He has surrendered completely. So the moment he is surrendered completely, what it means is he is having the mercy of Lord Krishna, and whatever good they have had in their life, they always believe that it is because of Krishna. He never wanted to become the emperor of the world, but it was Krishna's desire to see him placed as an emperor. And so he was just executing the desire of Lord. But even then, we see that as soon as the Kali started coming and spreading its wings, he was experienced enough to understand the signs and symptoms which were being seen. So he understood that the effect of Kali is coming. And that is why it is said that he was experienced because he had experienced the ultimate bliss, the happiness, the success, which is observed when Krishna is there. And so, in that situation, he immediately understood that maybe Krishna is no more there. And this fact was confirmed by Arjuna when he came back from Dwarika. And in that situation, he understood that now it is no more a apt time for him to continue his duty as a ruler of the world. So in the very next shloka, we understand the expanse of his kingdom. It is said that his kingdom was covering the whole of the land between all the waters of the seas, which he handed over to Parikshit Maharaj. So Maharaj Yudhishthir was an emperor of such a big expanse of land. And so he could immediately understand that Kali has come, and what it was characterizing, what he had observed, Vibhavyaha, is Lobha, that is avarice, Anartha, that is untruth, Jumha, that is diplomacy, Hinsana Adihi, which means violence, envy, etc. And all these were the causes of adharma, that is irreligion. And it was not that this was temporary for one period or one day or one moment, but it had become a vicious circle, chakram. So he said that now it means my duty is over, and now is the rightful time for me to proceed further on my journey back home, back to Godhead. Now, whatever Yudhishthira Maharaj observed and whatever is mentioned here, even if you consider that it was 5,000 years ago, what we see is as Kali-yuga has progressed further, all these symptoms, all these signs have become more and more devastating. So the learning here for us is, if Yudhishthira Maharaj, when these signs were just starting, thought it unwise to continue in the material world, why should we now, when all these have exaggerated and made us exasperated, continue in this material world? So just like Yudhishthira Maharaj decided, now is the time to devote fully to Krishna and ensure that at the last moment we remember Krishna. And that requires for us to move on and concentrate more on Bhakti Yoga. So similarly, we should understand it that now we also need to concentrate more on Bhakti Yoga. Krishna has promised, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. That if at the last moment you are able to remember me, I will ensure that you no longer have to follow in this cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. And so Yudhishthira Maharaj thought that yes, I need to retire and I need to set an example for others. See, again, whatever happens is always a plan of Krishna. So the retirement of Yudhishthira Maharaj was not that it was just a thought of Yudhishthira Maharaj, but it was Krishna's plan that he wanted to set an example. That even if you have had the best of the worldly pleasures, you have been the biggest of the rulers, a time has to come wherein you take sannyas. You leave back everything and concentrate only on how to go back home, back to Godhead. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was actually deciding that yes, he has to set an example. Because besides being an ideal king, he also wanted to ensure that there is an ideal of how and when to retirement has to be taken. So the result is, as Prabhupada ji mentioned, as soon as you find that there is a suitable replacement available to handle your duties and responsibilities, it is time for you to sit back and just concentrate on your bhakti. And don't get involved into any of the material worldly activities. But people generally don't understand this. As Prabhupada ji mentioned, as soon as there is some young fellow to look after the household affairs, one should at once retire from family life to uplift oneself to spiritual realization. Now, if this aspect would have been done successfully, would there have been any problems in any of the households between, say, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, son and the father, or so on and so forth? So, what it means is, we need to take up this reading successfully. We need to give up. The mentality to control is the cause of all bondages, which keeps us bounded in this material world. And the trigunas keep poking us from all directions and making our bondages more and more strong and stronger. So what this shloka is trying to make us understand is, just like Yudhishthira Maharaj has retired at the right time, we should also retire at the right time and let the new generation take up the duties as and when the time comes. So as soon as Yudhishthira Maharaj decided, thereafter in the capital of Hastināpura, he enthroned Parikshit Maharaj, his grandson. But even Parikshit Maharaj, it is clearly mentioned here, was not just a grandson, but he was Susamam, that is, he was equal in all respects. And he was Vinainam, which means he was properly trained. So what this has a training and a learning for all of us is that When we are taking up any kind of a transition, it has to be always to a well-trained and equally compatible personality, which is most important aspect of life. Now the whole land which was there of the earth bordered by the seas was being under the subjugation of king of Hastināpura, which is Yudhiṣṭhira. And Parikshit Maharaj was enthroned. So what it also makes us understand is it is the duty of the king to look after the happiness of the citizens. And happiness of the citizens, sabka saath, sabka vikas, is not only on a material platform, it has to be on the spiritual platform to make them understand what is the right path to get out of this repeated cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. So, to ensure that the citizens are free from all kinds of miseries, anxieties of mind, and disturbances caused by natural phenomenon, there has to be a promotion of the Bhakti Yoga. And this is where Parikshit Maharaj was well trained. And so Parikshit Maharaj ensured that the Kali couldn't spread as long as he was there. He gave them only 4 places to reside. And the rest of the story we already know and will continue to discuss further. But the key takeaway for us from today's lecture is that we have to be completely devoted to Krishna. We have to understand that everything is a plan of Krishna, which is for the betterment. We have to ensure that we take back, we retire at the right moment. We have to look after the Susamam and the Vinayinam candidates for handover and completely surrender and serve Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.